Whenever you're ready, Anna.
Okay. So I was like, for some reason, it's not the main photo on my screen and it kind of helps me, but I can see it now, so I'm good. Hi, my name is Anna, and as Felicia mentioned, I work for Michaels. And today we are going to be making these fabric bracelets. They're basically just bracelets out of fabric that you have or fabric that you've bought. It can go either way. It can be old t-shirts, it can be new t-shirts, it can be recycled t-shirts, it can be um, any kind of fabric that you have. So let's jump into it. So I'm going to start with our supply list, and then we'll jump into starting to create these super cute little guys here. So the first thing you're going to need is some kind of fabric. What I used was there's this bundle that we carry at Michael's, and you get all of these different patterns in the bundle. So this fun kind of stripy one. This has little sloths on it. Oh, this has sloths also, and more sloths and hearts. Now, when you make your project, as you can see here, you're not going to really, I mean, you'll see a little bit of but in some of the bracelets, you don't really see much um, of the actual fabric print. You see the color. So, I mean, again, there's some of them that you will see the print. So it just depends on which ones, how you want to do your bracelets. So mainly it's pick out colors that you like. They can be solids, they can be printed. Doesn't matter either way. You can even make them. You can tie dye them. Do whatever you want to do. So you'll need some kind of fabric. Can be, again, t-shirts, whatever. Okay, so there's your fabric, and then I have on here. We're going to use some pony beads. So I have this. I just have mine on a little baggie. Makes it easier to transport around. So I have these guys here. I'm sorry, it's kind of got a little glare on there from my light, but I'll try to watch that. But got some. But when I take them out of here, you'll see them better. But they're just pony beads. You can use any beads, but the pony beads are good because the holes are larger and they'll fit through your fabric. So that is important. I'm just going to throw a couple on the table here. And then so that's the nice thing about these is the holes are bigger. And some of the beads that we have in the bead section of the kids department don't have really large holes. So the pony beads are a good choice for this project. But again, if you find something that you has a smaller hole in there and you want to use them, and it works through your fabric, then hey, great. No problem here. Just use what you like. So I'm going to shift these over. I'm just going to keep them out, but shift them over. And then the next thing we're going to need are some, and I say need, I mean, you can use any of these. You don't absolutely have to have alphabet beads, but I have some alphabet beads. I kind of have some up here to the side. I was going to have a word already ready to go. Did not get that done, but that's okay. We can figure that out as we get closer to the class or to that part of the class. Another thing that I think is really cool are these wood hoops to use in the bracelet as kind of a center part of the bracelet. We can hang some charms from. So they come in a little package. I have a couple painted in there. That's why there's a couple different colors, but I was trying different things. So anyways, there's that. And then Breakaway clasps. Those are these guys here. So they break, they do break apart, break away, and then they pop together. So you can take your bracelet on and off. And I'll teach you how to, they're just real tight, which is good because you don't want them to come apart. I'm gonna teach you how to make these little sliding clasps too. So that's why I only have one on here. But you can use them on all of your bracelets. You can use them on none of your bracelets. You can do this kind of sliding if you want to. Doesn't matter to me, just whatever you like. I have some jump rings. I have them in my little bag here with my Breakaway clasps. So I have some jump rings, and I just grabbed a handful. The jump rings we sell in the kids department. You can get them in a silver tone or a gold tone, and within each tone, you have sizes all come like assorted sizes all come in that one package. So it's a really good value. Now, just to make it easier for my little fingernails and stuff, I'm going to keep my jump rings in the bag so they don't go all over the place, but I'll keep them over here so they don't get too shiny. And then let's see what else we need. Charms. So I used these little, they're almost like perler bead flowers. and these little butterflies in mine, but you can use any charms that you would like. And then let's see what else. Glue pen. So if you've taken my classes before, you know how much I love the glue pen. Glue pens are fantastic, such a great value. You get 5 or 6. Every time I do this class, I think I'm going to go and look how many pens you get. I can't remember, but there's either 5 or 6 in the package. It's a very good pen. You can use them for jewelry. You can use them for general crafting. They're great, great pens. Now, mine is broken because I use mine all the time and I broke mine. And now mine is kind of stuck together. So I'm going to kind of see if I can work. Oh, I just got glue everywhere. But they come with this little nozzle on the top. Well, I just cut mine open, so I'm not gonna be able to use this one anymore, but I'll use it today. I'll use it with my little handy dandy toothpicks. I have some paper towels right here, but I wash my hands now. They're all covered in glue. So you'll need a little bit of glue, but the pens are cool because they have these little nozzle tips on them. At the top, mine's just, I use mine all the time, and so mine is just traveled with me. I need to get a new one in my box. Then let's see what else. In the jewelry kit. The jewelry kit comes with the pieces of your jewelry toolkit that we're going to use are the 2 pliers, okay, and we're going to use the scissors. We don't need the other pieces are a threader and a tweezer, which we are not going to use for this class today. So, but with those 3 pieces of your jewelry kit, we will use. And then let's see what else. I'm getting glue everywhere. And then I have on there, I have on our supply list some toothpicks because that's another fantastic tool. I use it for using glue, spreading glue, pushing glue through beads. I also use it, sometimes I have to use it to help push some fabric through some of the beads. So that's a good item. And then I have a ruler, which is not as pretty. So I'm not going to have it in the camera as much, but it works just perfectly fine. Okay, so now that we have all of our supplies, we can jump into it. So we are going to start with, I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to none of these bracelets are super hard to work with. This is all a beginner level class. All of these are easy, but this one's super easy. But because there's a little bit more drawing into it, I'm going to start with this one first because the drawing is, that way we can set it so the dry, and hopefully at the end of the class, it'll be fairly dry. So we'll start here. Okay, so I'm going to move these 2 bracelets out of our way. So you feel free to make one or all, or just sit back and watch, and then you can come back and watch the video when it's ready tomorrow. Sometimes that's a good way to learn how to make some things. So I have this all, I'm all twisted around. So this is what we're going to do. So for this, we're going to need 1 piece of our fabric. We're going to need, and I will show you how to rip it like this, because you want those jagged edges, or at least I do. You can cut if you want, but I like the jagged edges. Super easy, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And then I have one of these wood beads, or wood rings rather, which are super fantastic. We have a couple of pony beads. So I'm just going to put these over here in our view. I don't know what colors I'm going to use yet, so I'm just going to put this little pile here. And then some charms, which we'll add. I'll get those in a minute. And then I'm going to move these breakaways out of the way here. But we do need our glue and our toothpick for this also, and our pliers. Okay, so we'll get started. So what you need to do, and I'm going to do the hearts one for this. So I'm going to open my fabric because I bought the fabric, but if you have fabric that you're using from the house, just open it up. So it's just the 1 ply, and the 1 ply means just 1 layer. Okay. And then I am going to, no matter how wide you want it, see my edge on this one is already a little jagged. It's already been cut a little bit. So that works in my favor here. But I might go ahead and just cut a little bit off just so both of my edges are jagged. So I'm going to snip just kind of towards the side, just a little bitty snip. See, little bitty snip. Doesn't have to be, it can be, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, full inch, whatever. You just want it just to get started, just so you can grab onto it. And then you're just going to pull. Now, if you're not on the grain of your along the grain of your fabric, which I was not. It makes it harder. So I'm gonna turn it and go this way. It should tear pretty easy. And because I'm here close to the edge, it's gonna give me a little bit of trouble, but once I'm done with that, hey, you know what? We're not gonna go that route. I'm gonna grab this edge here that's already jagged, okay? And I'm going to make it about 1 inch wide. And then I'm going to, oh, that just sounds so satisfying, doesn't it? Just nice, nice tear. So what it does is, and mine is about a 1 inch wide, and I'm just totally 100% guesstimating on that, not measuring it. You can measure if you want to, but I'm not measuring it for this one. And you're going to need 2 strips. Now, you can probably fold this in half and cut it and use both of those ends. Looks like I'm gonna measure here to see if that works for this project here. So if we fold this over and then bring it to here and we tie our knot here, we have, yep. So you can go ahead and just fold it in half. And cut it. So now that you have 2 equal sides, okay? So for this, and now that I know my colors here, I'm going to get I'm gonna go ahead and get a couple of these beads out, see what I'm gonna use for I'm gonna use those colors for this bracelet, and I'm gonna move these out of the way. Get them off my desk and out of my way, and because I like to keep things very neat and not all over the place, I'm gonna pop them in here. And we'll come back, we'll need some more funny beads in the other bracelets, but for now, I'm just gonna set them over there, okay? And then, okay, so we're gonna do one side at a time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my, I'm gonna take my fabric, and then I'm gonna roll kind of one end, and then I'm going to put it in, push it inside or really thread it onto a pony bead. And just rolling it makes it easier to push it through. If you need to help, toothpick to help push it in there, by all means, use your little toothpick to push it in there. Okay, so that it looks like this. Now you don't want to go very far. I mean, you can go a little bit, but then we're going to take this in and we're going to thread it through our wood ring on one side, and then we're going to line it up with the front, so they're back to back basically. So what it is your little wood piece is trapped inside your fabric, and you see how that fabric is kind of puckered right there, or pleated. I'm gonna use that to my advantage and just kind of crumple it all up, because what I want to do is slide this bead so I trap, so I get both sides in there. Okay, so you have this half, the folded over half, and my main half on there. So you can see, now you can always use your pliers to kind of help tighten it up and arrange it so it's all nice and flush. Okay, and then I'm going to take a toothpick, dip it in my mess of glue I have over here. I'm just going to push some glue out because I made a mess, but you can use your nozzle if you have your nozzle on there, or if you have like Elmer's glue, you can just kind of, add glue on there, but I'm just spreading it out onto the back of the front piece. It can be, you didn't have to be the back of the front piece. It can be the back of your other piece. It doesn't matter. And what I'm doing is I'm gluing those together. Somebody just got here and they're kind of loud downstairs, but that's okay. I think it's my brother. He stopped in to visit. Okay, so I'm just going to smooth it out with my fingers. Okay, and then I'm going to let that dry. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to work the other side exactly the same way. Now I'm like, I see it and I'm like, oh man, I wish I did the orange, but that's okay. Could do any way you want. Now your sides don't have to be the same color beads on each side. Mine just happened to be because it's just the way I like it. So you can like do it any way you want. You can just randomly pick a bead or whatever. Okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay. I'm going to fold it through or on the other, opposite side on the wood. And I want my frayed edges to be shown. Okay. So remember, I'm going to kind of getting these all kind of arranged here. And then now I'm going to, because that's tucked in. And then I'm going to try to get that guy. And I'm going to use my toothpick here to kind of help push that in there. Because this side seemed to be a little tighter. Okay, and then I'm going to move that bead up. And then again, just use my pliers to help tighten that up. Then I'm going to just smooth these out so I get the back to back kind of flush thing going on. Add glue, just like I did on the other side. Get this up here so you can see what I'm doing here. Add some glue. And then lay this down so it's flush and side by side. Get that nice and tight on there, or nice and attached. Okay. So once that dries, it will be a little bit firm right there, but it's not too bad. Like these are glued on this one. Oh, my elbow is itchy. Okay. So now we have a good portion of our bracelet done. So now we're going to work on this sliding closure. Okay. Pretty easy. Okay. So what we're going to do is we need to get a bead here in the middle. So I'm going to use my white bead right here. The downfall to this is we've got to go through this way with one and then through the other way with the other. So you'll see what I mean when I say that. Okay, which is a little confusing, but I promise you, it's not as bad as it sounds. Okay, so I'm going to slide this. Oh, I lost my little roll here. And if you want to, you can put a piece of tape around the edge. Sometimes that helps too. Okay, and I'm going to slide this through there. That's the easy part. Now comes the little bit more challenging part. Because I'm right-handed, I'm going to turn this around. Because now I need to get this one going. I need to get it going this way through the same bead. So let's see if we can kind of do our little trick here with kind of attaching it through, or, connecting it through that other. I'm going to use you can use a toothpick. I'm going to use my what do you call it? Round nose pliers, and kind of just push that. Well, I was going to try to push it in there, but it was not pushing. Okay. So like I said, this one's a little bit challenging, but that's okay. We can do a little challenge. I'm going to slide this through here. Did I do it? Did I do it? I have a little bit in there, so I'm going to grab my pliers. And again, just kind of work this through. Again, it's going to be tight right now, but once we get it smoothed out, it won't be as tight. Okay, so this part's a little bit challenging, but it's not too bad. Okay, I get it in there. Yep, so I don't want the other side to come out. So I'm going to kind of tighten it up like this. And I'm going to make it way too small for my wrist for just a minute. Okay, so now I'm going to do my little ends here. So again, I'm going to roll this in so I can add one more punny bead. And you don't have to add a punny bead here if you just want to knot it. You can do that. But I like the punny bead on the end, so I'm going to add. And I'm just pushing it all the way up here. And then I'm going to tie a knot. So it's just an overhand knot. So you just make a loop. I would go around my finger. So then I have a loop and then go behind and through that loop. And I'll do the other side again. So you can see that again. And then I'm just going to move my knot as close to the end as I can. Close to the end as I can. My bead goes back down there. And then now I can do this other side. I'm going to add a bead. This side. Slide it all the way down. So on this one, again, I'm going to go around my finger. Okay. So then I have this loop. Then we'll go behind and thread it through from the behind to the front. Then I'm using my other fingers here on my left hand to work that knot up because I want it as close to the end as I can get it. And then I always use my pliers to help kind of move things around, bring my bead back down. And we have our sliding knot. So it's easy to put your bracelet on and off, take it off, on and off. You can slide it on now. And I mean, I recommend you setting it aside to let the glue dry, but just so you can have an idea, there's that. Okay. So now I'm going to loosen that a little bit and let's add some charms because I think charms are fun. Okay. So if you want to trim your ends, you can. I kind of like the kind of raggedy, loosey-goosey when you have them all on. I think it turns out really cute. So we have that. And then, so I'm just going to use some of these charms that I had used in my other bracelet because I have them right here. I'm just gonna, I just ripped that off. I mean, you don't have to, because we have to change out we have to add a big jump ring anyway. So I just ripped that one off. Sometimes you don't know your own strength, right? And then this one, I don't really have one that is matchy. So I'm going to go with let's see, I'm just going to do I'll do another blue on this one. If you want to, in this one, the clasp came, so I'm going to take mine off. So to take it off, you're going to take your flat nose pliers and your round nose pliers, and then you're going to twist at the seam. Never want to pull them wide because then your circle gets changed, your jump ring circle changes, it distorts the shape. So you want to twist. I'm twisting to close that back up. Okay, so now I'm going to grab two of my larger or largest because I need to go over the wood. Two of my largest jump rings here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open up my jump ring based where the seam is. My seam is right here. And it's a little hard to see the seam. And I'm going to go on either side and twist to open it up. I'm going to twist it pretty wide because I got to fit it on here. Okay. Then I'm going to add my butterfly, and I'm going to use the jump ring that was already on the butterfly through the jump ring that I'm adding here. So and then I'm going to do the opposite and twist it closed. I'm going to twist it till they kind of meet up. Okay, so the one and having the two jump rings, what that does is let your butterfly lay flat. With that, and then I'm gonna get the other and do the same thing. I've got all dried glue all over my hands. It looks like dry skin, but that's okay. Probably have a little bit of that too. This weather is crazy. We're in Texas and we have snow today. I will tell you that 3 days ago, it was 72 degrees and nice. That's just the Texas weather for you. And I'm going to do the same thing there. So now I have some charms hanging from my bracelet. Love it. Super cute. Super cute. So there's bracelet one for us today. We doing okay still out there? Good deal. I'm going to take that as everyone's doing fantastic. I'm going to pop this little, I don't need this clasp, but you never know. I'm just going to set it in there with that. Clean some of these little flyaways and breakaways and all that kind of stuff here. Pop it in my trash. And the other thing, I'm not going to use this heart fabric again, so I'm going to fold it so I can get it off my desk. So I have a little bit more room for the next ones. You'll find when you do my classes, I'm always cleaning up right after myself. That's just kind of how I am. I like to, everyone's different. I like to clean as I go. So everything is nice and neat when I'm done. And I work with some, people who like to clean when they're all, all done, and that's okay. Whatever works for you. So the next bracelet we are going to do, let's see, let's go with this worthy one. Okay, this one's another pretty simple one. This one's probably the simplest of the three. So you're going to rip fabric just like you did on the first one. I already have a rip piece here, so I'm just going to use it, but I will give you a few minutes to rip yours. So you have a piece ready to go. Now for the next one, I have 2 pieces ripped, but I will need a third because the next one you're going to need 3 rip pieces. And again, the width doesn't really matter on these. You can do them wide, you can do them thin. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so for this one, we are going to take one end and one of our little breakaway pieces. And mine wants to be very tight, so it's going to take me a minute to get them open. May have to get some help here with my handy dandy tools. They're always as difficult, but this one wants to be challenging today. And my hands are also pretty cold, so that probably could be my problem. Okay, so with this one, the hardest part of this one is going to be threading it through these little bitty holes on here. But we have faith in ourselves, don't we? We can do this.
Hey, Anna, there's a couple of questions, or a question that has come in.
Okay.
How long do you recommend for the bracelet or the fabric should be?
Oh, okay. I just did the length of the fabric that I have, and then I usually just cut the ends off if I need to. So let me measure these and I will tell you what they are. And then you want to, around that length. So this one is, that's great question. 18 inches is what this one is. And the 18 inches is what I use on this one as well. So if you want to trim, if it's too long or whatever, you can trim some off. But about 18 inches is a good length for everything. We are going to probably, cut some off of this one. We won't need that because we only are doing 2 small knots on this one. But so that's kind of a good gauge. Great question. I have a ruler and I haven't even used it. Just sitting here staring at me. Great question. Okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to fold this at the end into like an arrow. So it makes my end kind of pointed. Because you want to go in what feels like it's backwards. It is not, but it feels like it might be. But trust me, it is not. And then I'm just going to use my little plier. And I'm just going to try to shove as much of this fabric in as I can get until I can reach it on the inside and pull it through. Now, I know it seems weird that I went backwards, but trust me, that's how we do it. Okay. And I'm going to do that knot at the end, just like we did earlier, but you want it as close to the end as you can. And you might even cut your ends here so they aren't as bulky, because our knot is going to fit inside this little piece here. So I just cut like a little arrow, which probably would have been smarter before I threaded it, but that's okay. I'm holding on to the very end of that little arrow as I use my left hand to bring that knot up here. Because I want this knot as small as humanly possible. And I'm going to fix my knot because I lost my grip. So you want this knot as small as you can get it. Because it's going to definitely be bigger than that opening. Just because of the nature of the fabric that we're putting in here. Okay.
And I just want to make a quick note, just to let
Yes.
you guys know that this class, that the mics are muted. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A section. So again, a reminder, the mics are muted. If you have
Yeah.
any questions, please put it in the Q&A section. Thank you.
Great call out. So what I did was I tied that knot just as small as I could get it. And then I trimmed my end. And I'm going to trim a little bit closer here. Scissors are great for things other than fabric. But they work. So then I'm just going to dip my fabric into my glue here because I have a little glue mess, as we know. So that's all I'm doing. But what you want to do is you want to take some glue. I'm going to push some more glue out here. And you want to take some and you want to put it under your knot. By under your knot, I mean the opposite of the end. I'm just kind of adding a dab. It doesn't have to be pretty. You can see mine. It is definitely not. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in and I'm going to shove that knot, or I'm going to pull that knot into my breakaway clasp. Now I want to clean any glue that may have gotten on there because what I don't want, this clasp is already tight. Don't want glue adding to my challenge of opening and closing my, because you want your clasp tight. You don't want it to be, your bracelet to be coming off. Okay. So you can put some more glue down there if you want to, but I put enough. I feel good about how much glue I put on there. So I'm going to leave mine alone. Okay. So now I'm going to go all the way over to my other end. And I'm going to thread on my letter beads. Now if you don't have letter beads and you have pony beads, then you can add pony beads. If you want to add pony beads and a letter beads, by all means, add whatever it is that you want. Now I just grabbed a handful of letters. I have a whole jar full, so if I can't find a good word, I am going to go to my little bank here and get some more. I might just do some initials. So I'm just going to do, I'm going to do A heart J. If I can find an A, you would think an A would have been either one. So, and that's, well, I lost my A. There's another one. Okay, there we go. My husband's first initial and my first initial. So I'm just going to make a kind of little fun little, why not? Why not? I'm going to get all these other letters here out of the way. And they're flying everywhere. That was pretty funny. So take your time, find your letters that you want, your word, and you can, then we're going to thread them onto our bracelet. And again, I'm just going to roll my ends so I can get them on here. And use whatever means necessary to get that fabric in there. I'm using this plier, but because I have it already kind of tight, I'm going to see if I can go ahead and get my next letter in there. But no, it's not going to work. I'm going to have to just spread that out and then go to my next one. And again, if you have a piece of tape, this is where tape is a fantastic tool. And just roll your end and then put tape around the end to kind of make a needle, if you will. Unfortunately, the little plastic needles, when threaded with the fabric, will not work through these beads. So that's why I did not use those in this project. But your toothpick, your little, ends are fantastic. Okay, so now I have my letters that I want to use on my bracelet. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little check on sizing. And I'm not super scientific about this. I just wrap it around my bracelet, around my wrist. And I'm going to take this one off so I can measure this. And it looks like for me to have a loose bracelet or a good comfortable bracelet, this is my length here, but I need to have enough to tie my knot on the end. So I'm actually going to we got to get it thread through here, and then I'm going to tie my knot. Okay. So again, I'm going to do my little fold over here, because that seemed to work really well last time. Sometimes you find little tricks as you go. And that little trick was not working today. It was earlier. There we go. Let's see, I'm going to use this one because it seems to be a little bit more sturdy than my toothpick today. And again, we're just going to push this in there until I can reach in there with my pliers and grab it and slide it out. Okay. So here we go. Now I'm going to do my measurement again, because I did not mark it. So that looks like it's good. It's pretty loose, but may go a little bit tighter. Not too much, but a little bit. I did not move that. There you go. Now you can also measure. I know my wrist is usually about 6.5, 7, so you can also measure. But that's where I want my knot to be. Okay. So I'm going to move this cone here, but I'm keeping my hand. I'm keeping my fingers where I want that knot to end up. And you want to, again, tie your knot and move it up towards your fingers. Because I want this knot to be as small as humanly possible. And I'm just tightening that sucker up. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab some glue and I'm going to put it under my knot. Now I am going to cut as close to the knot and add a little bit to that top. And I've got me a real nice little glue mess over here. But you know what? That's okay. And I'm just putting glue all over that knot. And then I'm going to get in there as tight as I can. So that once this dries, I can close that up. But I do not want to do it right now because I do not want it to glue shut. But if you prefer the closure that we did here, you can do it on all these bracelets. I'm just here to teach you a couple of different ideas and options, and you guys can do however you want yours to be. Okay. So there is that bracelet. I'm just going to set that aside so it can dry. Now I don't need this piece anymore, so I'm going to toss that. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here, and then we'll do our last bracelet. And this one is pretty easy. If you know how to braid, then this one is for you. So for this one, we'll need 3 pieces of fabric. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I already have 2 cut. So I'm going to cut one more. And I'm going to use this one since it's a kind of a mixture of all of these. And just like we did before, because I've already cut one side, I've got one ragged end. I'm just going to pull it. And you can see this one's probably a little bit thinner than the others, but that's okay. You will not know when we are done with this one if any of them are skinnier or not. I'm going to move my move my fabric off my desk here, give me a little bit of room. Now, one little trick is having a piece of tape or something to hold these down, which I did not grab. But that's okay. I'm going to use some tools that I have around here, like something heavy. I don't know if this is going to be heavy enough, but we will find out. See a bead here. I'm just going to clean up a little bit and then I'll be ready to go. Okay. Okay, so for this one, we're going to get all three of those inside a pony bead. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think we can do it. I'm going to try to go a little bit kamikaze here and see if I can get them all in at once. And if that doesn't work, I'll back it out. And we'll see what we can figure out. Where'd my pony bead go? Here we go. I'm just grabbing a corner. I'm going to see if I can shove that corner in there of all three at one time. I think it's going to work. It's going to be tight right here, but it's okay. I'm going to, there we go. Woohoo. Okay. And we don't need it super long or anything. Don't need a super long tail here. So now I have the three. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to braid. And you can make this braid as tight or as loose as you want. And see, this is where I'm saying, like, if you can, I'm going to use my Coca-Cola here. If you can have something set on it or tape it down, makes it a little bit easier to braid, to have something to hold your end. And my Coca-Cola is going to be moving on me. And all I'm doing is just doing a simple, just an everyday braid. Now I'm doing it with my patterns up. Now they're probably going to get a little bit wrinkled or disheveled, but that's okay. Because this is kind of a ragamuffin bracelet. We're going to call it a ragamuffin bracelet. And then I'm just going to keep going here. And like I said, this one's not super tight. If you can see here, this one was a lot tighter. So you can do it any way you want. This one, I just thought I might do it a little bit looser. And you want to do it with you want to come to your end here with about the same amount of length here on your end as you did on the first part. But mainly, you want to do a measure, make sure your bead or your braid goes around your wrist, most of your wrist. Okay, and it did. So I'm good there. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this end with the pony bead. I'm going to shove all these guys in there. What color do I do on that side? I tend to be pretty predictable on my colors. I like to have everything kind of matchy, but that's just the way I like it. And again, if you don't want yours matchy, that's okay. You can do it however you want to. So now I'm going to shove all three of those in, or one went in there. See, did I get any others? See if I got lucky. Nope, I didn't. Okay, so this one, I think we may have gotten, no? All right, let me start over on that one. Okay, so I'm going to tighten up my braid a little bit. I grab my little end here. Let's see if I got some more pieces. Don't want those in there. Don't need any more fabric than I already have. Pull them tight. There we go. Got it. It's like so exciting once you know you got it. And you just kind of bring it up there to the end of your braid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this around, because I really want, basically I want these ends to be, kind of, about right there. So these braids are a little bit long, but that's okay. I went a little bit long on my braids, but that's not the worst thing going on here. So I'm just gonna bring it up over the braids there, and then I can take them out. Okay, and then I'm gonna test them again. I think that'll work. Okay, so I'm gonna do one here, but we know 3 going through one bead was tight. 6 is not gonna go, right? So what I'm gonna do is I am going to tie off. Looks like I just cut off. I'm gonna cut off. Trying to decide how I want to do this because I want to make sure this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so we're going to take one of these, the one that you're going to keep for your length. I'm going to put my finger kind of in the way, and then I'm going to wrap it around. It's going to go below the bead. Wrap it around these two here. Okay, but I have my finger here, so I have a loop. And then I'm going to put this through the loop. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to tie a little knot. So what I'm doing is just securing this end a little bit better because I'm going to cut these 2 pieces off. So I'm just going to secure this up a little bit better. Then I'm going to cut these ends. I'm going to try to cut these ends. We have to do one at a time. I was trying to be a little bit crazy there, kamikaze. And then you can add, I always add glue. This glue, although white, will dry clear. And just add it to that little end there. Okay. And then I am going to do the same on this side, except I'm going to keep 2 if you want to. I think I'm just going to keep 1, but you can keep, like this one I had 2. Just makes it a little bit more challenging to push everything through the bead, but that's up to you. But I wanted to, actually, I think I might go ahead and do 2. We'll see what I decide to do at the end here. I tend to change my mind as I'm working here. So I am going to just take one, and it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap it around, put my finger in the way. So I have a little loop under that bead. I'm going to tie that. Bring that up closer to, well, I want to bring it way closer to my bead here. I'm way off on my bead here. Well, that one didn't work very well. Let's try this again. Okay, I'm going to go wrap it around. This side's just not as long, so this one's a little bit more challenging, but that's all right. You can always use your pliers to kind of help with that end. And you know what? I'm just going to leave this end right here. Just do a little bit different kind of look here. So we'll leave that here. Now I'm going to take these 3 pieces. The one end on this side, and the 2 that I have here, not the one that I have just kind of sticking out. And I'm going to put them through a bead. See, we are almost out of time. This was a fun little way to do some upcycling with our fabric. And we have lots of fun fabric at Michael's now. And so this is a great way to introduce you to some fabric projects. But it's great to do some upcycle. I like to upcycle. I feel like I'm missing oh, they're just stuck together. Okay. So I'm doing, now this right here is going to be your slide now. And if 3 is too much, it feels like 3 might be too much this time for some reason, where these might just be wider than this one. So you might want to take one of those out and just use 2. Because it feels like that might be too much. So I'm going to slide one of my ends out here. There we go. So now we just have the two, one from each side. And then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with that in a minute. And then as usual, if you want to put some beads at the end or just knot it, doesn't matter. I tend to like the beads, so I'm going to put a bead at each end. And get my pliers in there. Tie my knot, just an overhand knot, just like we've been doing in all of these projects. Just a simple over around. I say simple and then I miss it, huh? Goes to show you that even some professional crafters find some simple tasks challenging sometimes. That they're not always simple to everybody. One more blue bead. Go through this one. Do my little overhand knot. And then, so there are my little ends. So then you can use this to slide your bracelet to make it bigger to slide it on, and do this to take it off. So you can decide what you want to do with these two. If you want to cut them off, I'm going to cut them off just because I did that on the other side. But if you want to keep, an extra little piece of fabric, you can. But if you decide to cut them off, I would highly recommend just adding some glue, just shoving it on there. And all that does is just going to help that knot stay. And like I said, this will dry clear, so do not worry about the craziness of what I just did on that bead or on that knot. So you just want everything kind of ragamuffin and super cute. I love it. And then if you want to, like I did on this one, you can take another charm. And I'm going to use the second to largest, a medium size jump ring. And I'm just going to add doesn't have to be, again, I'm not going to be matchy, but can be, but today I am not. Because the charms I chose did not match my bracelets exactly, but that's okay. And close that back up. Remember, open it by the seam. You want to do the twisting. And then I'm going to take open it up, slide it on. And then this one, I'm just going to find me a spot within my braid. And just attach it on there. So then I have that in the middle. Now it can be off to the side if you want to. You could put it, through your jump ring or whatever you want to do. I mean, through your funny bead, whatever. But so there you go. Those are our bracelets for today. Thank you so much for crafting with me. I had a blast. And stay tuned on what we are going to learn next month. I hope you guys join us next week or next month. I'm sorry. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.